Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Remember That Time When. This is another special episode we have got. It's a special episode for a special guest.
Exactly.
She goes by Kamo. I'm going to butcher your surname.
Okay.
You're not that bad. I think you can do it.
Kamogelo Maponya.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'm so happy that wasn't my role. I'm so happy.
She is a friend of ours.
Yeah, a friend of the podcast.
100%. She is a UCT student.
Of course.
An excellent UCT student, may I say.
Thank you.
Go to.
She has done so many things. She is known by so many people.
A recognizable voice.
She's known as that person who just brings light into people's lives.
Energy at all times.
I have never been around her and not felt that beaming. I don't even know how to describe it.
I'm always smiling.
You guys are so nice.
She's also part of the UCT Radio Club.
Yes.
So if you guys want to support her, she will probably touch on that a little bit just to tell us so we can support her. We are very supportive people here.
Yeah, support.
And so welcome.
Thank you, guys. That was a lovely introduction.
Thank you. I
You made me smile. You
We
guys
try,
made me
we
like,
try.
thank you, first of all, before we do start. I have to shout you guys out.
Okay.
Because you guys are doing a really good job.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Like,
Thank
this
you.
podcast is going to go places.
Thank you.
Always.
I truly believe it. The conversations you guys have are very meaningful. They touch on a lot of areas we don't speak about enough. And yeah, you guys are amazing.
That was
Continue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you want to shout yourself out?
Okay, you know what? I'm going to do my radio
Do it.
introduction.
Give it to
Let's
us.
go.
Give it
Let's
to
hear
us.
it.
Okay, my name is Kamogelo Maponya, Kamtsotsa Boza, ya di Boza, and you are tuned into Remember That Time When with your well and Q.
Okay, yo, when professionals
we
do
need
it,
to get
bro.
something, bro.
When professionals do it, it's
No, I had to show
crazy.
you how to do it. You
I
know?
respect it, bro. Respect it. Nah, we need to level up, bro. We need to level up. Yo,
Yeah. Nah, that's nice, bro. Today is all about you, Kamo.
it is.
We are just guests. We are the
Silent
guests.
observers. That's what we're doing.
You guys
So,
are putting pressure. Oh my
There's
word.
absolutely no pressure.
No pressure at all. It's
no
what
pressure.
so many viewers.
It's only 1 million viewers.
There's
that
only
watch
a million viewers that watch us. There's no pressure.
So many.
There's no pressure.
this. Yo. Do you wanna? I don't even know where to start, bro.
So,
I think we can highlight what this episode is going to be focusing on.
Okay.
And again, similar to the previous episode, we will be releasing it in parts that focus primarily on specific parts of the identity series that we've been recording videos on. And this episode will be focused on family and religion.
yo, that's deep. So my family, I have a big family and a small family at the same time.
Okay.
So my parents separated when I was very young. I think I was like 3 when my parents separated. So my mom's one and only child. So, you know, I got spoiled a little bit.
Hey, bro.
I got what I wanted. I was the only child on my mom's side. And literally growing up, I had my mom's attention on me all the time. You know, she'd sacrifice a lot for me to do whatever it is that I needed to do. You know, go to school plays, go to school activities, sports, everything. My mom was like the pillar of strength. She set the foundation for everything literally in my life. And on my dad's side, my dad, love him to bits. When my parents separated, my dad remarried.
Okay.
So I had more little sisters as well. And yeah, it was a big family. That's why I have like this, you know, this double side to me. When I'm at my mom's house, I'm the only child. I'm very reserved because there's really no one to talk to besides my mom.
Okay.
And then when I'm at my dad's side of the family, I tend to be like a little bit more loud, a little bit more, you know, social because there's so many people in my family and it's so big. Like, my dad has 5 girls.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's an army, bro.
it is.
Wow.
You know what people tell him all the time? He's gonna get millions in lobola.
Oh my
He's gonna get millions in lobola.
For our international viewers, can we touch into what that might mean, that word?
Lobola.
Yeah.
Over to you, Kamo.
Oh, okay.
Crazy.
Pressure.
She brought it up, bro.
Yeah.
So it's bride price, essentially. When
Oh,
you
that
get
sounds
okay. No, that does
a little
sound bad.
We're
problematic.
not selling
Okay.
people.
We're not
No.
buying people.
It's not an
Um,
auction.
I promise, Mom.
So it's when a man has an intention to marry a woman, he has to go to the father and say, I see your daughter as a potential wife. The uncles get together, they talk about things, and they exchange cows, cattle. Now it has changed into money, but they're not selling you. It's just showing appreciation for how the family has raised their daughter. Yeah.
I think over and above that, the whole point is, if you're going to let your daughter, you've been taking care of your daughter for so long, and you're just going to give it to this man,
You need to know that he can take care of her.
Yeah, 100%. You have to know that, first of all, financially, he can take care of her. Because you as a dad can do that. So you want to make sure that if your daughter is to go into someone else's, start their own family, at least the man can take care of her. So it's just safety and security.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. But yeah, let's get back to your
Yeah.
army that your father.
The army.
has.
My dad has 5 girls.
Wow.
And 1 grandchild. I'm an aunt. Yeah, I'm an aunt. The future rich auntie.
Okay.
Yeah, so her actually, that period.
Respect, man.
So yeah, I grew up in a very loving family. I think that's where I first got to know of love in its purest form. I got support from my family. They make sure that in anything that I do, they're there. Like when I say school plays, when I say public speaking, anything that I did in school, even academically, my family was there every step of the way, encouraging me, showing me support. They gave me a lot, and I'm just so grateful for them. But to speak on having divorced parents, I think that was a very big part of who I am. That is a part of who I am. I think people who know me, within the first week, you'll know that my parents are separated. Like, it's just who I am. And I think at first, I didn't understand what was going on. As a kid, you're like, everyone has their parents together. Why are my parents separated? You start to ask these questions and you start to wonder, like, is there a problem? Is there anything wrong? Like, what actually happened, right? And I think having divorced parents just made me stronger as a kid.
Okay.
Because most of my friends, not to say they didn't go through hardship, but I went through hardship much earlier in life, at 3 or 4. So in primary school, I already had to face questions being asked about who I am and who my family is.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of my friends, they had the nuclear family, a mom and a dad and siblings, where I had to explain why I had to bring... So on Fridays, I'd go to my dad's house for the weekend. And then during the week, I go to my mom's house. I'm at my mom's house. So having to explain to people why I have a bag on a Friday, and then Monday morning I have the same bag. Those questions from an early age, like I think from 7, when kids start to notice these things. So having to explain myself was a very big part of my childhood, because I feel like people don't understand, and you always constantly have to tell them why you're different.
Yeah, like I think with what you said there about how you always have to explain, it's not just... It's almost as if you're not given enough time to really digest it yourself. Because you're immediately being asked about it. You're immediately being questioned on it. So now you're forced to think about it regardless of whether you're too young to think about it.
I was about to ask if she ever got tired of explaining it. Was there a phrase where you're like, nah, I'm not doing that?
I think that's why I bring it up so early when I meet people.
Get it out of the way.
Okay.
Everyone who knows me, from the first week you know me, you'll know that my parents are separated. Because I didn't like having to explain that I'm going to bring a bag, or I have to maybe talk to my mom about a thing, or get permission as well from my dad. Usually when you ask your mom for permission, it's assumed that your dad will agree. Right? But with me, I had to ask for permission on both sides. I had to also separate them. Like when I'd speak about my parents, I'll say my dad, or my mom. Or when I talk to my mom about my dad, they'll be like, why do you say your dad when you're talking to your mom?
I get you.
So it's like the pronouns. People pick up on possessive pronouns.
Yeah,
They'll be like, okay, that was weird. Why did you do that? It's like, my parents are separated.
Nah, I get you.
Yeah.
How do you think, sorry not to interrupt you, how do you think that has shaped your idea of family?
Oof. To be honest, I think even if your parents are separated, maybe it's because my parents still showed me love and support. I didn't get the feeling that there was animosity between the two.
Okay.
So, and they both live like relatively close to each other, within 10-minute drive.
Okay.
So even when I needed to see my dad, like he's not far away. Or when I'm at my dad's house and I want to go to my mom's house, they're not far away. But what I do think, it has made me want to prove that family can still work.
Okay.
Yeah, family can still work even if you're divorced. And you can still be happy even if your parents are divorced. Because I think we have this notion that divorced kids are messed up. And I think that's what I had to prove a lot growing up. It's
I
like,
get
no,
you.
my parents aren't divorced. I won't fall into the traps that every person whose parents are divorced will fall into.
I get you.
So the drugs, the not doing well academically is because you come from a broken home. I don't think I come from a broken home. I come from a very, very loving home. And it's just my parents love each other, but not together, if that makes sense. They love each other in the sense that they care for each other and everything, and they care for me, but they're not necessarily together. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm sure it's like, because I know in South Africa there's so many people who grow with, under a single household. There's only one parent.
very common.
It's very common. So I think the fact that even though your parents were separated, they could still like give their all towards their children is beautiful.
It is. I think it also showed me that, I know this ties in more towards relationships, but within your relationships, your kids and your family are more important than anything, right? To take care of them regardless of the problems we have. So let's say we were to have problems as friends. We shouldn't let that affect like how we take care of each other. We should still love and care for each other.
Yeah, I get you.
So I think that's what they showed me in terms of family.
Yeah. No, that's really beautiful. And for me in particular, I really loved, genuinely like appreciated how you said the acceptance you received within your dad's family once he remarried was something that really stood out to me. Like you said that they showed you love at all times and you felt really welcomed. I just want to touch into the dynamic that existed, going from being the only child to being, you said you were the middle child?
I am
By age,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How did that sort of play out? Like what role did you immediately assume when you went into the family? And how did that form the identity that you grew up with?
Okay, so I'm going to explain what I mean by age. My sister is much older than me, and my little sisters are much younger. So I'm the second born out of 5, but because my little sisters are so close in age, it's like, okay, they're all in primary school and my sister's out working and I'm in university. So in terms of age, I am the middle child. And what did I assume in terms of like my position in the family? I was spoiled in the beginning, like,
Okay.
because I was the youngest for so long. Like, I was spoiled. I didn't do anything. My older sister took charge of everything. And then when my little sisters were born, I started to become more responsible. I had to be more of a role model. I had to be the one that they look up to. I couldn't just do whatever. They were looking up to me. Like, my dad would tell me, hey, you set the path in a way. Like, we can do whatever we want, but your sisters are going to look to you first before they look to us as their parents.
Exactly.
So you need to consider what you do and how it affects not only you, but it also affects your siblings. Like, you doing well academically, you set the tone
That's
for your siblings.
so relatable, bro. That's literally
The pressure.
yeah.
That's the pressure that comes with it. Like, you can't do anything without thinking, okay,
And I feel
who
like
else is it affecting? Yeah.
I feel like when your parents explicitly say that to you, I feel like I think it's different when it's just in there, in the room.
In the air. Yeah, I get
People,
you.
you know.
But when they bring it down
When they actually
to the earth and say it, bruh.
Yeah, nah.
That's something that's hard to face. But I think, because you mentioned pressure. I think the pressure exists both ways. Like, because I'm the firstborn, right?
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's always a conversation of you're the role model, whether you like it or not. You're the closest source of information and guidance to your siblings. However, at the same time, I saw what that did to my younger siblings as well. It almost felt like they had to always prove themselves. They had to always, meet the standards that I set, and so on. And I feel like that pressure is just universal. There's always that pressure, regardless of whether you're the one who's setting the standard or whether you're the one who's trying to reach that standard.
In the same way, like, because I do have an older sister, she's very social. Like, I'm social, right?
Yeah, hey.
But like my older sister, guys, she has a way with people. Like, even better than I have a way with people. To a point where it's
hard
like,
to believe.
It's so hard to believe.
it's
I need
very
to see
hard
that
to
in
believe.
person.
But if you were to see my sister, like, especially when you go back to my granny's house or just going back to family in general, everyone gravitates towards her first.
Wow, what a personality to have.
Yeah, like, people love my sister, and I always wanted to be like her.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I have this personality of always wanting to talk to people, because my sister was so easily approachable. People had problems, they'd go to her. People wanted help with anything, they'd go to her. Everyone knew that she's that person to go to. She was the go-to person. So that's why I tried to be like her.
That's really interesting. And you said, would you say that she really played that position of that role model? Did she play it well in terms of like all the other avenues that your family valued?
Oh yeah, in most aspects, like my family values education.
Yeah,
It's a huge deal. My dad always says, "Hey, get your degree. Like, before anything in life, get a degree." Both sides of my family, like, education plays a big role. So my sister graduated, so there's an expectation that I should graduate too.
Yeah.
My sister has a well-paying job. She has a stable life, so there's an expectation that I should also achieve something like that. She's just achieving a lot in her life.
She's winning, bro.
She's winning. So for me not to win is like,
It's kind of
side-eyed. Like, you have to level up to it or even surpass it. Like, that's the benchmark. What my sister has said is the benchmark, and I have to either meet it or go above it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, bro. And it's something that we even touch on, like, regularly throughout this series. We talk about how the values that our family impose on us end up being so ingrained within who we are. Like, I struggle to separate myself from my academics.
Oh, you just touched on something there.
Like,
Yeah.
I can't describe myself as a person without talking about the role that education plays in my life. It's one of the things that I'm most grateful for, but also one of the things that affects my mental health the most.
True. Same. Heavily. I always attached my worth to my marks.
Yeah, exactly.
And this year was this year, like, when academics crumble, I would feel like, okay, Kamo, you are worthless.
Wow.
You are not of substance. You are not going to succeed. If my mark in a test was lower than 80%, I felt like I'm not good enough. Because academics, like, I was known as the academic kid. Every year you're doing well, getting awards, yeah. But whenever I deviated from that, it was like, whoa, who am I?
Joe, that touches on something we've normally spoken about, Joel, about finding, like, doing more than just one thing. Like, spending your time on more than one, like, investing yourself in more than just one thing. Because when one part of your life is not going well, at least there's another part that's going well.
I think what we even say about this is we say you need to diversify your happiness portfolio. That's what we say.
That sounds like such a finance term. Diversify your portfolio. Like,
it's cute, bruh. So it's like we realized, especially for me, it was that conversation started last semester for me, where a lot of things were going wrong academically. But then I realized every other aspect of my life was improving. My physical health, my relationships with people. And now it's just my academics that were taking it like a nosedive, to be honest. However, all the other aspects of my life were really, like I was winning, dog. But then when it came to my mental health, I just couldn't justify.
Why you're feeling like that?
Yeah, like I just couldn't justify. Like I didn't feel good at all, despite everything else going well.
It's deeply engraved, bro.
And then I realized, as much as I want to live a life where, I'm brought joy and happiness by various other things, I realized what means most to me at the end of the day, regardless of whether it might have been imprinted on me by my family or not, is my academics.
Yeah.
And then I realized, I was like, okay, I need to make the necessary sacrifices that I can make. Because in all honesty, I don't think my academic, situation was purely out of my control. I think there were things that I could have done better. And when I realized that, I got back to where I was. And then my,
your joy went up as well.
Return. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's definitely it. But I definitely want to touch on hear what you said about like the role that religion played in your life.
Oh, that was big. That was huge. So I come from a very Lutheran family. Like,
Okay.
My grandfather's a pastor. So I grew up in a religious household, taught to love Jesus at a very young age. And
Can you say that again?
taught to love Jesus at a very young
Did you
age.
notice that? Taught to love Jesus.
Yes.
Okay.
And I saw it mainly in my grandmother. Like my
Okay.
parents are Christian, yes, and they taught me like the Bible and everything. But truly through my grandmother. My grandfather also passed away while I was very young, so I didn't get to experience, his teachings. But my grandmother, prayer was so essential in everything she did. Oh, that woman prays. Like that woman, a situation, she's going to be there in prayer. Like everything is centered around God and centered around prayer. And whenever I'd visit her, we would have to do devotions at
Amazing. Wait, at what time? I heard
7 p.m.
Okay, thank God.
Because she
I
sleeps
thought
at
you
around
said-
8.
I thought you said
Okay.
7 a.m. and I was
Oh,
like,
no.
no.
Oh, my mom was
way.
telling me that.
Lord, I apologize, but 7 a.m.
No, my mom was telling me literally when she was growing up, it would be like a morning and night thing.
Yeah.
But for us, as she grew older, it was only an evening thing.
Oh, lucky.
So I only experienced it at 7 p.m. We'd bring out the hymn book,
Okay.
we'd bring out the Bible,
Wow.
and then
Oh, you guys had like a mini church session.
bro, as I said, my grandfather's a pastor, so even when he passed away, my grandmother tried to keep that practice.
That tradition.
Yes, that tradition that we come together as a family. And that, for me, at first, I was like, I want to watch TV.
I get you.
Facts, bro.
I relate to that so much.
cartoons.
Because
bruh.
you just start to like settle in. Imagine your day's done. You finish doing what you need to do, your responsibilities, and now you're relaxed.
I am.
And you're watching your show, and your show is nice. It's like the cartoon is going well, and then you hear, "What kids?
Yo, bruh,
It's
like,
time for devotion."
this is something I relate to so much because even my mother, she used to like, and she never had a time, a set time.
Oh,
But she felt like it.
She just walked in and be like, it's time to pray now. It's time to pray now. So she'd either catch me like studying or because we used to like specific shows. You know those days.
Yes.
You know those
8
days.
o'clock.
Yes.
Yes.
Those specific South African shows that I watched that played at those exact times.
and you could never watch them otherwise.
she knew, bro.
Bro.
She just
And
rocked
it's as
out.
if like they have the sixth sense. Okay, that show is
It's stuck.
slightly demonic.
And she didn't want us to watch it, bro. Exactly.
Yes.
She never wanted
Oh
us to
my
watch it.
word. Yo,
She just pops
feel
by,
you.
it's time to pray now.
My mom's was the thing of like some days we'd feel like she forgot. And we get too comfortable, bro. We get too comfortable. Me and, our siblings were all like silent. We're all using our phones or whatever. And we're like, surely she's not coming after this time.
Yeah, it's
It's
9
up
p.m.
to-
It's-
And then you'll hear a, Yoel. And I'm like, that Yoel was,
it's time.
It's time. It's time. So you gather the troops and then you make your way to the room and you begin
Yeah.
the prayer.
To the point where family members know, like, you can't visit us and not have a devotion night.
Oh, wow.
They know, like, literally, my grandmother is very steadfast in her faith. And I appreciate it now. Then I was just like, we're wasting time.
But
Like,
that,
what are we doing? But now I realize how important it is to have faith.
exactly.
It's a part of me. it is who I am actually. At the core,
Very
it's
visible. Very visible.
Very respect, bro. Respect.
from the beginning. I tried to make sure that my faith is known from the beginning, because I realize when I don't state it from the beginning and tell people this is what I believe, it's easy for me to be swayed.
You know where the danger lies.
You know where the danger is. If I don't say it and I don't speak it, I know that I'm gonna be swayed. I know what your opinions about faith are. Kind of, it'll affect me.
This is so true, bro.
Yeah, and at first, I think I came to know Jesus for myself at 12, when I chose to be Christian.
That's a really early age as well.
All due to my parents as well, hey?
Yeah, that influence exists,
It's because of them. We have something called confirmation in the Lutheran church, so you have baptism and everything. But at 12 to 15, we have something called confirmation classes, where it's almost like youth. Where they teach you about the Bible and everything, and what church is and everything. And then I realized, actually, I connect to this. I truly believe in this. And from there on, I think that's where faith mattered most to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of the decisions I make
revolve around that faith.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming with what you said here, you've decided to pursue the faith that your parents and your grandparents
yes
subscribe to. So that's still a fundamental part of your identity and
very
who you
much
are.
so. Very much so.
I think me and Q relate to that.
I was about to say,
So
there's like,
strongly.
just listening to her story, bro. There's so many similarities between all three of us, bro. And just like, it's beautiful, bro. Like, I can relate to almost everything she's saying.
Bruh.
Even though there's like differences, but I can relate to so many things she's saying.
Yeah. Nah.
Can I tell you guys, like, even family events, my whole family's almost Lutheran. I think everyone in my family is Lutheran. On my mom's side.
Wow.
Actually, I forgot to separate it. On my mom's side, we're Lutheran. And on my dad's side, I don't know what it's called, but Zionist. I
Okay.
think, yeah, Zionist is what they're called, right? So my mom's side, they have Lutheran uniform. You know those ladies, the church ladies, like in South Africa, it's a big thing. Where it's like the women in the church have a specific uniform. Yes. So you'll see it at a family event, funeral, or like any major event besides weddings. That's where they don't wear it. They'll wear the uniform. Like even on my dad's side, it's like the first thing we do before we start an event, it's open up in prayer.
Yeah.
So religion really did play a role in my life.
And still does.
And it still does. It still does, yeah.
And I feel like with a lot of the conversations that we've had, especially about faith, I've also been able to notice the character traits that you have strongly align with the principles that we're taught. And that's something that I feel as though is like definitely worth mentioning.
You mean like, I think the main one for me is kindness.
That's the first thing that popped into my head.
Absolutely.
Kindness, yeah. Like I said, when I chose to be Christian at 12, 13, starting to learn about the faith myself, that's when I actually got to know scripture for the first time. Like before, you'd read the stories and everything, but when I dived in, and I think in the beginning phase of my journey, Galatians was like really there, like the fruits of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, kindness. From the beginning, I was like, okay, this is how I should live. These are the attributes I have to have. It's not a choice, it's a must. And leading in love. Whatever you do, do it in love. So, yeah, those are the character traits I've tried to have. I would say it has been hard because my personality, I'm very like energetic and I'm very loud and it has been hard because there are things I've always wanted to do. Like, go out, have my wild phase.
The experiences.
And the experiences, but then at the same time, it's like, hey, remember, this is who you are. This is the foundation.
Yeah.
And from my family, from my faith, I've had pressure. Like a lot of pressure of, you have to be this way. You have to excel in all that you do. You have to be the model citizen. Yeah, so I had a lot of pressure. I think I still do. even though it's not said. And
I
it's
get
not-
you.
It's still there. I feel it because I try not to make mistakes.
I get you. But like, I think it comes down to the cross that we have to carry as fathers. I think it comes down to that. And I think there's beauty in offering our youth as a sacrifice.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's a luxury to us who are young. We're given the opportunity to dedicate the time where we have most vigor, where we have most energy, where we have most strength to Jesus. And to me, that's what keeps me going. To me, that's what, like, I realize if there's a greater being out there and I decide to follow him, the youth is the least of what I can offer up. And that puts a lot of things into perspective for me. But it's so wonderful to see how positively these things have impacted you and the place that they've led you to. And to me, I'm sure Q, you resonate. This hits so much at home. And I'm glad to see that this has left you in like an overall like better place.
And I like the way she speaks. Like, she's speaking from a very positive perspective throughout. Like,
So true, bro.
I really like that.
That's so rare, bro. That's so rare. But yeah, I think we've addressed all we wanted to address with this episode. We hope that you guys really enjoyed it. Make sure to give us your feedback. Actually, I don't even think you shouted out your Instagram and your socials.
Oh, bro.
Come on.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm at Kamogelo Maponya on all social media platforms. And the main thing is tune into UCT Radio. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 to 7 p.m. Your girl is there. Yeah.
Always, man. Is there anything else you want to share, Q? Or
They'll be seeing a lot of you.
So, a
guys,
lot.
Don't cry just yet. She's still around. She's still around. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, and Buff Babies for Life on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Buff
Babies
Babies
for Life. Always.